Right, welcome to another tutorial video for Play Action Football. This is a new cards and dice football game from the Clark and Addison Gaming Company. This is a video about the score sheet. Now, this game comes with its own score sheet. Maybe you have one that you like to use for tabletop football games. This one has been crafted specifically for this game, but it's not the only one that you could use for this game. Just has some spots for some special calculations and things like that to maybe make it a little bit easier to play the game. So we have our standard teams up here, and you can keep score first, second, third, fourth quarters plus an overtime, and then you have your final score. You can put your date, what field you're playing at if you want to get to that level, or you could just put the city. We have any of our weather effects, so you can go back and check out the weather video to see how you can incorporate weather effects into outdoor stadiums. Obviously, if it's a dome, it's perfect weather. So it may not be any effect. There's about a third, maybe a quarter to a third of teams playing a dome stadium. Seems like everybody does, but they actually don't. So weather could have a big effect on the game. And you can keep those calculations here. You would put in the type of weather on top, and you would put your adjustment that you need to make. You can find that in the game guide. And then you can do any of your this will be for your final adjustments every time that you roll the dice. So that's taking into account the weather, the offense and the defense adjustments for each team. And then this will be your total adjustments on every play, barring any, before you get to any sort of play level adjustments. You have your team name, which you could put the abbreviations up here and then the full name. That's what I like to do down here, or you can do the abbreviations and then the mascot name here. The offense and defense. Basically, on each team card, you have an offensive number and a defensive number. You just put those here next to the team name. So we have Chiefs and then a 1 and a -2. You have a place to keep track of your timeouts in the first and second half. We have a place for challenges. Each team gets 2, but if you are able to win 2 challenges, you get a third. And then we have our passing in this column, or this row here. We have our rushing in this row, and we have up to 60 passes. So each of these boxes represents 1 passing attempt. 60 is typically plenty. I have reached into the low 50s before, mid 50s maybe, but that's usually when a team's trying to come back. They're down by 2 touchdowns with half a quarter left, and they're just throwing it every time. So that does happen. If you needed more, I guess you could go to the backside or just keep it on a separate sheet of paper. What I like to do is I like to just mark down what happened inside the box. So an X for incompletion. Actually, you can see here. So you can see I just do a little X for incompletion. I mark the yardage, the final yardage. I'll just write it down. If there's a sack, I'll denote that it's a sack, because that shouldn't count as a passing attempt. So I want to make sure that I get that in there. And usually I just say, how many yards were lost on the play. I also keep track of sacks here. So this defense had 3 sacks against the Rams. The Rams had 5 sacks against the Bears. I like to put a little square, so that denotes first downs. So you can see how many passing first downs and rushing first downs they got. What else? Circle. I have a circle. Well, that's not here. There were no passing touchdowns in this game, so there's a circle here. That usually just denotes a touchdown, so that a rushing touchdown. A diamond is a fumble or an interception. I don't know if they had any interceptions. No interceptions either. So a diamond usually represents an interception. We can also mark the interceptions here, just to get a quick look at how many interceptions, how many sacks were in the game. And then when you get to the end, you can put your cumulative stats here So obviously 39 passes, that's where they stop. That's easy. And then I count up how many incompletions, subtract those from the attempts, and then now you have an easy completions and attempts. You just total up all the yardage and you get a total yardage. You can do yards per completion, which is helpful for me as I'm kind of judging the game. But you can see diversity in yards per completion based on how many passes they completed. That's basically yards divided by completions. And then you have TDs and interceptions, right? Same thing for rushing. You can figure out how many attempts, 22 attempts here for 51 yards. 2.3 yards per attempt. Basically, you just do yards divided by attempts. And then no touchdowns and 2 fumbles. So you could do cumulative fumbles or you could do fumbles lost. Either way. We have a place for field goals. So there was one 45-yard field goal that was here that was made by Los Angeles. The Bears made 2, a 46-yarder and a 24-yarder. You see those written down there. We have our punts, lots of punts in this game. So this is 10, 11, 12, 13 punts, and they had 8. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, there's 10 slots here. So 13 punts for the Rams. They didn't have a lot of offense against those 85 Bears. And the Bears kicked it away 8 times as well. They had 8 punts. Now I like to do the punt yardage here. So not where they kicked it from, but how many yards was the punt. That way you could total this up and then average it, and you would get the average punts in the game. So you could say, 13 punts for an average of whatever, and you could get total yards for your punts as well. So this is all about just collecting stats, right? You're collecting these individual stats as they're happening. So then you can input those into a spreadsheet, or you can just total them up yourself and put them somewhere. And then we have what happened on the punt return. So this is a touchback, fair catch. This kick was out of bounds at the 15. This one was out of bounds at the 5. This one was run back for a touchdown. So you have a little bit of space here to kind of mark up and keep track of what's going on. And finally, we got your penalties. So there were 4 penalties for 45 yards against the Rams, and the Bears only had 1 penalty for 10 yards. So you can kind of keep track of those there as well. And this section is the same as this. So you got your away team and your home team, and everything is kind of condensed down and easy to just kind of get to. But you're collecting these little stats that turn into cumulative stats, which can turn into per game stats or full season stats as well. So that was the point of the score sheet. And up here you can see the adjustments. So we have an adjustment, an offense of 1, a defense of a -2. So that's a minus, you add those together. So it's a -1 advantage to the Bears on every play because of their defense. And then because of the extreme cold weather, our chart in the game guide said it should be a -1 to the away team, which makes sense in this case because it's Los Angeles. But the -1 on defense for the Bears plus the -1 for the cold weather means that on every play it was a -2. So I can keep those adjustments up here. This is the away team, the home team. And you can keep those adjustments up there just so if you forget or you need to come back to the game, you can quickly see, okay, on every play I need to be adjusting this by -2. And what you're adjusting is the play outcome roll. So if you rolled an 8, it becomes a 6 on every play. So it becomes difficult. There is a chance that you can make that a 0 or a -1 by good play calling or kind of, working out the play calling part. But if everything is straight up, it's going to be tough sledding, which it was. They only had 185 yards of total offense, which is not far off from what they had in the real game. It was a very tough day for the Rams in 1985. So that is the score sheet. It'll come as a PDF that you can download and print. It's part of the package, but it's its own separate file. And you can print off as many of these as you want and sort of keep track of everything that you need.